Yeah, they're doing good. They're doing good. Some really close matches. Okay, 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 okay.
My brain. I remember him so bad.
Is he the one that passed away?
And him too, I thought. He did.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Where'd that go?
My uncle, what did you do? I have that one.
I don't know.
I don't
Just a
know.
student. What year is this from last year? or-
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I did. What is this? It's your mail.
Oh, so well organized. Nice. Gracias. Yeah. I was like, oh, what is this package for me? It makes it even more special. It's like, surprise.
Oh,
Like,
for the yearbook?
Okay, we ready to go?
Yep.
Ready? Yeah. Come on, we're good to go. 5:30. You know, like 7 time. I'd like to call this meeting to order of the Gonzales Unified School District Regular Board Meeting of the Board of Trustees for Tuesday, September 13th, 2022. Moving on to item 2, a roll call. Can we get a roll call, Marissa? Present?
present.
Present.
Excellent. Moving on to item 3, approval of agenda. We are gonna go ahead. I'm motioning that we move item 17, all the items in 17 for closed session, back to items 5. So essentially 17.1, 17.2, and 3 would be subsequently items 5.2, 3, and 4. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda with the revisions?
Motion, Araceli?
Moved by Ms. Flores, second by Ms. Cuevas. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Agenda passes. Approval of minutes 4.1, approval of the minutes.
So move, Araceli.
Moved by Ms. Flores. Second by Ms. Cuevas. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Moving on to item 5, closed session items. We have 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, and 5.4. Do we have any public comments on the closed session items, Marissa? Seeing as we don't have any closed session item public comments, we're gonna go ahead and adjourn to closed session.
Marissa, am I signing it right here? Or it says clerk? Or is it just?
No, I
don't know.
you would sign this one.
Maybe.
Okay.
We're going to go ahead and reconvene to open session. 8.1, action taken. There was no taken in closed session. So we're going to move on to item 9, flag salute. Ms. Flores?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we are going to move on to item 10, public comments. But before we do that, I did want to make sure that the record reflected that we do have our new student board members joining us, Lexi Amador and Omar Espinoza. So item 10, public comments. At this time, members of the public may address the board on topics that are under the jurisdiction of the board. For public comments on items not on the agenda, the board may not discuss or take action during this meeting. Education Code 35145.5. Comments from the public shall be limited to 3 minutes on any topic. The board may limit the total time for public input on any topic for 20 minutes unless it chooses to waive the item limit for a particular item. And do we have public comments?
So we have to start with Miss Margie Daniels.
All right, is this, oh, it's on, okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm Margie Daniels, the athletic director at Gonzales High School. And I just wanted to share some information because I've never really had a chance to speak to the public about athletics and what I do. But I just wanted to let everyone know that the school year is off to a good start. We have volleyball going on, cross country, girls tennis, and cheer with full uniform and pom-poms. You probably saw them out there. We also have a new girls tennis coach who is doing an amazing job, and a new cheer coach. She's also doing a good job. We are still dealing with COVID, and last year really helped us prepare for this year. So I just want to assure the public that we are on top of it, that we are proactive, and all the coaches and Mr. Cuevas, our sports medicine director, we're all working together to ensure that our kids are safe and our programs, our games are still, going on without disruption. Why am I nervous? Okay. We also faced a heat wave. I was fortunate enough to get a heat stress tracker that Mr. Cuevas is using. And so that is really helping us monitor our athletes and make sure that the air quality and heat is safe for our athletes, for all our athletes. And the coaches were amazing at working with me in adjusting the time schedules with that heat. And I got no pushback. We made it out with no emergencies or anything like that. So, and Mr. Cuevas made sure there was enough water in that first aid, and his sports med team, awesome. We're always available. So league starts this week. Volleyball is currently playing North County, and our JV volleyball team took a tournament championship. Our boys cross country team placed 4th. There was over 40 schools at that invitational. And football has been racking up points the past 3 weeks, and we look forward to playing Soledad this week. So I really hope to see a lot of you out there, and I encourage all the fans to attend and support our team because we want to take that trophy home. And as athletic director, there's a lot of work that goes into doing this job that people don't see. And I am in constant communication with league athletic directors. There's 32 schools in our league. And I work with officials, MOT, community members, CCS, staff members, and admin, and as well as parents. Cannot do this without our parents. So this job isn't easy, especially since it's a full-time job that I also have to teach and coach. But I really wanted to take this opportunity to extend my gratitude to everybody. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Coach Daniels.
Next is Ms. Sandra Rodriguez.
Coach, good job. Good evening. There were just a couple of items that caught my attention on this month's pay warrants for July. We had a $21,000 attorney bill for services rendered for Lozano Smith and our American Express bill. But the district pays thousands of dollars in attorney's fees. And like, it's no secret that we've had a lot of litigation. We've had go into contracts, and it's time consuming and I get that. But there was only like 19 or 20 business days in the month of July. And that fee is really, really high. I'm hard pressed to see what August is going to look like because that's a full month. So, and then the other was the American Express bill. You know, I hope that we could put a little description on it, just so we could have a little bit of transparency and clarity that maybe whatever it was a conference, we had meals, whatever it was, we're, as ASB advisors or club advisors or coaches, we're obligated to have that description in everything we purchase. So I think, you know, it would be nice just to see that little blurb in there that, you know, in there just so we can see that what we do is also what the district does, you know. So like I said, we have a fiduciary responsibility with these public funds. So it behooves us to have a little bit more clarity as we move forward into the year. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. That complete our public comments. Moving on to item 11, recognitions, acknowledgement of honors and awards. 11.1 is oath of office. So I'm very, very happy to have our student board members here tonight. So they will be taking the oath of office, and I get to do that. So I'm really excited. So we're gonna go ahead and come up front. Lexi, I'll have you come first.
Do you guys want to do it in the ambo?
Oh yeah, on the podium thing, or dais. Make it official looking.
Here, I'll let you go. Let's see, where does mom want it? Oh, we gotta have that. Oh, hey, this is far and few between. I know. So I'll leave it here. So I'm gonna have you raise your right hand. I, Alexi Amador, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California
I, Lexi Amador, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I will bear the true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I will take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
that I will take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Welcome, welcome. That was very special. Lexi was one of my volleyball players, so just touched. Omar, you're next. Right, raise your right hand. I, Omar Espinoza, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California
I, Omar Espinoza, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I will take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
that I will take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Thank you. And we're gonna have you sign these and then you'll get a copy for yourself. So welcome to the board and the rest of the board can very much welcome you.
So that's what we're doing that. One piece of advice, guys. You are only a couple of seats. There's only a couple of seats up here. And so you guys are the only 2 seats in the whole campus that have a voice up here. Use your voice. Okay? When somebody's here presenting, you get to ask a question, just like we do, the same thing. And they get to answer it if they can. If they can't, they'll bring back the answer later. So use that platform, talk to your peers. You guys represent your peers. That's why you took that oath. You represent your peers. Okay. And so use that platform and help your peers. Welcome.
Well, so excited to have you both.
Just so, you'll be hearing from me, and my hope is that we can have a monthly meeting, which I've done before with prior school board members. And then I know, Dr. Zamora, we have student board bylaws. So I'm hoping that those are available, and if we board members can get a copy of that, I think
Yeah.
it's important for us to read it. Because I think the bylaws I don't know if they're complete or if they're still in progress, but we definitely, if they're not complete, they definitely need to get done, and that is something that the student board members will
And-
be able to work on.
And I would hope they would be the updated ones because I know CSBA updated bylaws the last conference. So to get the most up-to-date information on student board bylaws from CSBA, because that did change last year when we were at the conference. Okay.
So,
Well, moving on to item 12, public hearing. The board will hold a public hearing on the sufficiency of textbooks and instructional materials for the 2022-23 school year. So we will go ahead and open up this public hearing at 6:53. Do we have any comments? Seeing as there's no comments, we'll go ahead and shut the public hearing, close the public hearing at 6:53. Item 13, communications, GTA report, and I believe we have Ms. Birmingham here.
Good evening, members of the board and community members. Thank you for coming this evening. We just had our e-board meeting earlier this afternoon. So we have a couple of things that we discussed, a couple of things that we're really excited about for the different sites. La Gloria Elementary has a room 42 with an expanded learning specialist. And they have opened the doors up there for promoting positive student behavior. So the students are going in as a reward system. They've got activities they're doing. They're bringing back little trinkets to the classroom and sharing them throughout their campus. So that's been very exciting. They're really looking forward to continuing on with that classroom. Excuse me. A big blow at FMS has been Miss Julie coming in and helping to bring the campus into some alignment, and they're still working on the discipline part, but they said it's very positive over there in that aspect. And so they're very looking forward to continuing on with the positive events at FMS. Here at GHS, we're super excited to have a full staff. Any of those that have been around for last year know that's a big plus for us. So we're continuing on and looking forward to an incoming AP soon as well. So those are some of our big lows. We do have a couple of concerns that we've been talking about over the course of the last couple of months. Of course, in reference to COVID, still some concerns going on with that. Isolation rooms at the different sites to make sure that staff are aware of where those are at. And making sure that the communication is clear as far as protocols go, as far as things that are updated through the CDPH, and making sure that your staff is aware of that and knowing how to work together with communication so that information is flowing clearly. That's been a big concern that we've been kind of keeping an eye on. And then we're also looking forward to starting to send some of our staff members out to some of the professional development conferences, which you'll start hearing more about as we keep going throughout the school year. Any questions for me?
Our board members, do you have any questions? Jose?
Awesome.
Thank you, Ms. Birmingham.
Beautiful.
Always a
Thank you for
pleasure.
joining us.
13.2 CSCA report. Do we have anybody from CSCA? No. Nobody. Item 13.3, our student board members at this time, I know there's, you may not have a report ready, but this would be the time in future agenda items where you can report out what's going on, any concerns, any issues you see on the campus. I'm assuming at this time as well, because you'll be meeting with Mr. Soriano regularly, that you will be able to report that as well. Do you have a report ready for us today? If not, then it's completely okay. Yeah. Or yeah, maybe introduce yourselves. Just maybe something a little about yourselves.
Okay, and I'm looking forward to graduating this year, hopefully with all of my class and all of you out in the stand watching us.
I would just like to start off with saying, how's everyone doing? My name is Omar Espinoza. I am the senior class president, also a senior here at the high school. And yeah, I wish to see you guys there at our graduation, cheering us on for the future.
Thank you both. Excellent job. 13.4 La Gloria Elementary School report.
Good evening. I'm the assistant principal at Gloria Elementary School, Robert Worth. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the wonderful things that we have happening at La Gloria. On September 2nd, we had our first Spirit Day assembly. It was successful. We encouraged all the students to show school spirit by wearing our school colors, purple and gold. During the assembly, we announced our student council. It consisted of 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. And currently our student council is planning themes for our next Spirit Day assembly, which will take place on September 30th. Something new at La Gloria is our PBIS Possum Passes. Possum Passes were created with the goal of promoting positive behavior and providing students with additional choices during their recess playtime. Students who earn a Possum Pass have the opportunity to participate in special fun activities facilitated by our PBIS coordinator. Saturday Academy will begin on September 24th. Teacher and lead positions have been posted, and the focus will be on reteaching essential standards and iReady integration. Regarding after-school intervention, we're inviting all students to partake in after-school intervention, and we're also going to look at targeting specific students based on the iReady diagnostic assessment results. And then finally, on September 26th, we're going to have our Ecomotive vehicle event. Ecomotive is an organization that wants to reduce the emission of greenhouse gases by implementing sustainable innovations. They're going to be displaying the world's first CO2 neutral car made from recycled materials, plants, and 3D printed parts. The car will be displayed at La Gloria on September 26th. Okay, and that concludes my report.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Any questions, student board members? No? What's that? Maria?
Well, one, for PBIS, why is it called a Possum Pass?
Possum, like awesome.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
There's a Possum. for
Possum, because our school mascot, I said we call it the Possum Pass because we're the Bulldogs, paws, and so.
I was thinking Possum.
She goes.
Sorry. Thank you for the clarification.
Sure.
No, I got it.
No, I thought the same thing, and then I was like, oh no, I think they meant like paw.
Yeah.
Like you. It is. No, it is.
Have
Any questions?
I don't know what to say.
okay. Thank you.
Maria, I just want you to know, I did think the same thing at the beginning. I did realize, I was like, why would it be a paw? And I was like, oh, a paw. So don't feel left out.
There's never a dumb question.
Yes,
We need to
no.
teach our kids. There's never a dumb question.
Nope. 13.5, Fairview Middle School report.
We're done now.
Good evening, board members. Congratulations, Omar. Congratulations, and name again, Leti. I'm very proud of you guys. Okay, and I'm pretty sure you guys are gonna do an amazing job. So please take advantage of the seat that you're in right now, and let us know what we need to do better. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, my name is Miguel Malagon, and I am the proud principal of Fairview Middle School. We've been super busy at the beginning of the school year. We have a lot of stuff going on. We needed to make sure that we start with the focus for our school and the academics that we're going to be doing this school year. So we did what we call coaching cycles. We started the training on Friday, and this week our language and math and special ed teachers went to the actual implementation of the coaching cycles, and we are focusing in 3 items and for our students. Number 1 is the student engagement, make sure that they are focused on what they need to learn. Number 2 is that our teachers are doing informal assessments as they are teaching the lessons, just to make sure that they're actually learning what we are teaching. And the last one is student talk. How much are the students talking about what they're learning? When are they using the academic language? We will be having 4 different cycles throughout the year. So we are very excited about that. Our teachers are amazingly happy with that training. And I think that we're going to have great results because of that. The other program that we have is iRadius. It's an intervention program that we have. And we also already started with our training for all of our teachers. We did our first diagnostic, and the results are actually going to be ready tomorrow. So I'm really looking forward to those results, and those are going to be our baseline for the year. We continue to form partnerships with other schools, and UC Santa Cruz is actually in our campus. We have 2 interns right now that are aspired to be a teacher one day, and they are shadowing one of our amazing teachers at Fairview Middle School, Miss Icarios. So kudos to her. School Site Council. I'm still looking for parents that would like to be part of the School Site Council and ELAC committee. It is super important committees that we need to have a parent input and parent voice. An invitation was sent to their parents via email, so please complete the form if you're interested on School Site Council. September 20th, we will have an informational meeting. We have a PTSA that is actually helping us plan a trip to Washington in the summer for some of our students. So this is through World Stripes, and we are going to start with the informational meeting on the 20th. And a link is going to be sent to all parents, 8th grade parents via email. We will also have on September 21st a parent meeting for all 8th graders who are below 2.0 at this point, and that is going to be the first meeting. All those students will be required to attend, and that will be the first step for us to start working on those intervention programs that we need to make sure that they have that 2.0 by the time they promote. Saturday Academy is also going to start for us on the 24th. And we are also encouraging all of our students who need extra support in English and math to sign up and receive the help that they need. The sport news, volleyball, girls volleyball and boys soccer. That's the season that is going on right now, actually started today. And we are also inviting everybody, all the parents, to go and support us. We also have PBIS up and running. Our store is open every Friday, and our students are receiving their Warriors points for their good behavior and following the expectations, the school-wide expectations. And we also had a spirit rally on the 8th. It was our first one, and it went well. We have a little bit of practice because we haven't done one in a while. but I'm pretty sure the second one is going to be even better. Those are all the items that I have for you. If you have any questions, this is the time.
Student board members, any questions?
Actually, yes.
Go for it.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part. You said you were gonna do 2 times, was it? It was like a program you're gonna do 2 times towards the end of your.
PBIS,
There you
I talk about PBIS. PBIS is a reward system for the school-wide expectations. And we have our students receive points when they show one of the 3 school-wide expectations. And every Friday, they get to redeem those points for different prizes.
Jose, any questions? No, Maria?
Oh, thank you.
Caesar, question?
No, thank you.
I have, just my only comment is thank you for being proactive and setting that meeting because we're early on. So if we already have at-risk students, so again, thank you for being proactive with that because it's better to know now and work towards that. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, guys.
13.6, and we have Mr. Soriano here for Gonzalez High School.
Good evening, board members, Ms. President Daniel, Superintendent Zamora, and once congratulations, Lexi and Omar. It's going to be great working with you this year. And when we do meet, bring you Starbucks. So we're off to a good start, and your input is very important. So that's how we roll at Gonzalez High School. Wednesday, we have our club day. So during lunchtime, we have about 18 tables out there, I believe, 18. And it'll be a good chance to have our students interact and participate with school clubs. So looking forward to that. And that's going to be a great event. So I want to put on some music out there and have our students visit all the clubs and hopefully get involved. So it's great. Thursday, back to school night. We haven't had back to school night in about 3-4 years. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. For it's going to be live. And yes. And my first one as a principal. So we're going to see how that goes. Friday, we have our first big rally event in the gym, our Spirit Rally Fall Season event held by our ASB. And we're also, let me go back to Thursday. Thursday, we're going to have a September 16 event in our lunch quad. So yes, we're gonna have a banda out there and we're gonna have some taquitos and the whole deal. So it's gonna be a fun event. So hope to see everybody out there celebrating our cultural past history there. Saturday, we have our senior college kickoff college presentation by Hartnell College for seniors. We will have guest speakers there talking about their services and programs. So that's and I'm going to be barbecuing. So that's going to be great to see. Hope to see our seniors there on that Saturday from 9 to 2 o'clock. We will be having raffle items. We'll be raffling some AirPods. A lunch with the principal, just joking. No, I'm serious. Yeah, I'm going to put that in there. And school swag and free passes to dances, the prom. So we expect our children to have a good turnout there, and it's going to be a fun family event for all. And yes, we'll be serving hamburgers and everything. 2 shout outs to sports. Our volleyball team took first place. Our junior varsity took the Copper Division champions up in Watsonville High School. So yes, we came, we saw, we conquered. And then shout out to our volleyball cross country. We were in the Monterey Bay Invitational. Our men's varsity team placed in the top 3, and we had a top 2 runner, Giovanni, out there. Man, you ran like the Dickens out there. Good job. And so that is it for this evening. Okay. Any questions? Sorry. I just can't wait till Wednesday tomorrow. I'm going to come to school like 7 o'clock. I just can't wait.
Student board members, do you have any questions? Jose, questions, comments? Maria?
No questions. Thank you.
The burgers, that's Friday?
No, it's Saturday.
Saturday.
Barbecuing.
I wrote it.
Mr. Aaron, if you show up, I'll make you a double patty. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's brought up by Gear Up, by the way. Gear Up is real 9 to 2.
I had to two.
Damn sharp.
All right. Contact test. Thank you, sir.
Araceli?
Good job, Jess.
Thanks,
Thank you.
thanks.
Just a quick question for the college presentations. Is it just Hartnell that's going to be there?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
But we do plan on in the course of the year having a big college fair, and we're going to be inviting some, hopefully, some not just the local colleges and private universities here, but abroad as well.
What I want.
I didn't think about that, but we can, Mr. Lopez. We can. Yeah, it's possible. I don't. We'll try it. We'll see. A lot of planning involved.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sorin.
Okay, thank you.
Actually, something else I want to say too. So, Soriano, just a small question. I actually would hope for the college fair, seeing as well seniors and juniors need to know about the colleges too. So,
Mhm.
I was junior year, we had one, but we had COVID, so we couldn't
Yeah,
really do anything.
Yeah, Omar, that's the plan, to do seniors and then have a junior one.
Alrighty,
We
cool.
can get
Thank
back
you.
in the swing of things now. Thank you. Good question, Omar.
Excellent. Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Sorin. 13.7 MOT.
Good evening. Good evening, board. Good evening, Superintendent. Trini Zavala, MOT Director for Gonzales Unified School District. So I'm here today to give you an update what the status is on the scoreboard at the Gonzales High School Stadium. So here we're going to show you some of the pictures of the process on the installation. So this is a preliminary. This is when the base and the supports and the poles were first being installed. So this is a crane when they were driving them into the ground, and so they were being cemented. This is where the two poles were already planted, on the one on the left-hand side. Then on the one on the right-hand side, you see the poles were already planted. This was approximately 28 days after the pour of the concrete. That's where the concrete had already been cured. So on the one on the right-hand side is the first Spartan sign that has gotten up. Next slide, please. So in here, this is all the final stages of the actual equipment being installed. You see the one on the picture, the one on the left, they were installing the Gonzales High sign or logo. And then on the one on the right-hand side, it's when it had been, the installation had been completed. And right now, that's at the stage where it's at right now. There's a delay on transformer that is going to be delivered. The original is going to be delivered not into October, but they're going to be supplying a temporary transformer so the Spartans can play with a new scoreboard for the first home game. Okay. So in here, there's been a lot of questions that I got many calls from the community. What's going on with the dirt on the fields? They would create a lot of confusion. I spread the word around what was the status and what was going on with the fields. As the coaches know, we had a lot of potholes and a lot of unevenness on the field. So we even it out and tried to repair it. But there was tons of gophers and squirrels, and they're very hard to control. So we have a pest control company that it's still an ongoing process, along with our gardeners trying to control the gophers and the squirrels. We have an empty lot from close across the street from the city, so they go back and forth. We also have the slough, and the evenings we actually can see the squirrels go from the lawn, the schoolyard to the slough. So it's very hard to control. And due to the Healthy Schools Act, the district has to be very careful what kind of a application to control the pests we use, because we don't want to kill the chain of production we don't want to kill the gophers and then they through via poison, and then eagles or hawks come and eat them, and we don't want to kill that. So we want to be as prudent as we can. Next slide, please. So this is the beginning of the stage when we added the dirt. We thought that it was going to take approximately 20 truckloads of dirt to fill this is just the 5th Street side. And when they started laying it out and spreading it out, the first strip of dirt on the closer to the 5th Street, it took 20 truckloads. So it took approximately 60 truckloads just on the 5th Street side, and then it took 52 on the Cielo Vista side. So I've been working here close to 24 years, and I've lived here all my life, and I never seen anything like this done before. So it was time that needed to be done. Got a lot of calls from neighboring and the school districts, even from the city. They're interested in doing something like this because locally nobody has done anything like this in years. So it was a good project, and right now we're waiting for the seed to hatch and start growing. So this is at the beginning. Next slide, please. And this is what it looks like now. So it's slowly growing, and it's slowly covering it up. So I figure in another couple of weeks, I think we'll be able to see what the status is, and we may be able to let the kids play. Now the kids that were using these fields are using it at Fairview. So Fairview fields are taking a beating right now. So after we open this, we might have to block off Fairview for a few days to kind of let it rest and let it come back and try to revive it. We need to do that. We need to do that. Any questions?
Student board members, any questions?
It's not a question, it's more of a comment. I saw the scoreboard at the stadium and it looks beautiful. I just want to say that I'm really happy that our school board and our staff and everyone approved this investment, because I think it's perfect for our future games, especially our home games, where we're trying to show a lot more school spirit this year, trying to pick out themes for home football games such as a luau, neon, pink out, especially for breast cancer awareness. So I want to say thank you for that.
Yeah.
And my 2 cents on this, as a baseball player for GHS, right? We've been complaining, we've been telling, and just as a whole for the part of the team, thank you, porque sometimes there'd be kids who would fall, there'd be kids who would, and so you guys going out and changing the field for us, it's really appreciated.
Thank you.
So as everybody on the team and myself included, thank you.
Jose, questions?
Yeah, thank you.
Maria? Thank you, Trini. I do have one question in regards to the sand being layered on top. What's a concern? I'm wondering if with time, due to like the gopher holes, they're pretty big and deep. I'm wondering with like weather, will the dirt sink back and create the holes again?
I didn't have a picture in here on this presentation, but there was a roller, a machine that actually compacts the dirt. It was run back and forth, and eventually, because the holes are there on from the scrolls, some holes are going to be created. I'm not going to tell you that it's not going to happen again, because it will happen. But we just have to be on top of it and try to keep filling them in. But the main goal here, we need to control the gophers as much as we can. The city's been doing some work next door. They're going to be doing some work there, and the earth moving, and we're hoping that will deter them and we'll control them quicker. Yeah. But this issue has been going for years, and not only this district, every district has that issue.
Caesar?
Thank you. Thank you, Trini, for the presentation. The scoreboard looks wonderful. Just as agreed upon. I know you know that the previous scoreboard had a sign above it for our legendary coach, Mr. Dick Force. In fact, it said Dick Force Stadium above it. And I know that in the past, the board has expressed a wish to have that again. Are there any plans to put that? And I know it's not part of the
Mhm.
scoreboard now, but to somehow put it above. It's something, if I have to say, the biggest topic so far over summer for me, that community members have addressed, have contacted me about, is that. And of course, when they saw the field, they're like, what's going on?
Mhm.
But I mean, obviously that makes sense. And I remember, stepping in potholes in there and seeing the kids. So I do appreciate that. But
Yeah.
on the scoreboard, I think it's very important that we bring back Dick Force Field above our scoreboard.
Okay, so let me clarify that, Cesar Strayon. So can we go back on one of the slides where you can see the top of the scoreboard? Okay, the original plan and due to DSA compliance and approval because the state and the inspector of records are going to be inspecting this project and the process. The inspector, when he approves it and signs off the sign needs to be showed the way it's on the plans. If in the near future the district decides to remove the Gonzalez High and put the Dick Force Stadium site on top, there's no problem. As soon as it passes inspection and sign off, no problem. If the Dick Force Stadium goes on top of the Gonzalez High signage, it would have to go back to DSA and be opened up again. So it will be complicated. I don't think it would be prudent to do that. I think if the district decides to remove the Gonzalez High letters only and then do the Dick Force Stadium, that's something that the board can contemplate and make that decision. That's one option. The other option would be putting the Dick Force name underneath the Spartans. That way we don't have to go to DSA. Nothing needs to be done. The signage, when we talked to the architect, the signage, we tried to put it as high as we could, just in case we would put a sign underneath the Spartans, which kept in mind the Dick Force Stadium verbiage on it. So right now it's 10 feet from the bottom of the Spartans to the floor, it's 10 feet. The Dick Force Stadium sign, it's only approximately 18 inches. So even if we do that, it still will have a 8-foot clearance underneath that nobody will bump their head. So that's something that we can bring it up and discuss it. But yes, it's the sign, it's planned to go back.
Thank you.
Honestly, the only question I have is what is your guys' process to check if there's any new holes from the Gophers? Are you checking weekly? And what does that look like?
Every week. And sometimes we can see them from the mound wasn't there last night, and then next morning the mound is there. So it's very obvious. It's very when we first laid the first spread of dirt, it was like bombs all over the place. One day I counted 42. So and then right now we get maybe 10. Sometimes we only get 3. So they're gradually, little by little. Sometimes we don't get any. So little by little, they're being controlled. But
That's
yes. That's how we track the activity. Okay.
I don't know if I missed it. Do we have an ETA for the fields?
For the fields, like I said, I'm expecting 2 to 3 weeks.
2 to 3 weeks. Okay.
Mhm.
And then I know I had the same concern with Caesar did with making sure that we still recognize Dick Force Stadium. I know one of the options they had said was creating, and I think Mr. On it was an archway at the entrance to
Mhm.
establish Dick Force Stadium.
Mhm.
Is that still a possibility?
Yes, it's whatever the board decides and votes on. The first one that we haven't moved our finger, it's putting it somewhere on the actual scoreboard, because that's how the community wanted it, and that's how the community expressed it to me, and I'm sure that's how the community expressed it to you guys. So that's something that we need to decide, and then we'll take your direction.
Okay. Thank you, Trini.
Okay.
Moving on to item 13.8, superintendent's report.
Thank you. So tonight, I do want to showcase a partnership with the city that we are doing to ensure not only safe walking to school, but also the awareness of how to take care of each other on our way to and from school. So this is called the Walking to School with a Chase, and it happens every Tuesday. The police, along with the school at La Gloria, they're is showing students how to cross streets safely, how to get to school safely, and what it is they need to do to ensure that everyone walking with them is safely. So I just wanted to showcase this partnership. It's something that is very important to us to ensure that we continue to collaborate with the city in keeping our students safe. So this is more of a showcase. Next picture. And it happens every Tuesday. So if you would like to join us, we would love to have you at the park at 7:30 in the morning on Tuesdays, and we walk together to school. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. So moving on to item 15, there's no informational items on 14. As a consent agenda, items listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine and are acted on by the Board of Trustees in one motion. There is no discussion on these items prior to the board action unless a member of the board, staff, or public requests specific items to be discussed and or removed from the consent agenda. It is understood that the administration recommends approval of all consent items. Each item on the consent agenda approved by the Board of Trustees shall be deemed to have been considered in full and adopted and recommended. Anybody like anything pulled?
And I apologize, I didn't bring my laptop today. And Jose's laptop is on its head. You open the document, it's upside down and backwards. So my vision is not good enough to figure out what these hieroglyphs mean. So here's your laptop back, thank you, sir. However, I would like to talk about a resource officer. It's one of these, I think it's one of these items, and I can't figure out which one, but it's a resource officer at the high school who is a female, which is something that I
Well,
believe is at
first,
the high school.
hold on, let me find the item because then we
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
pull it and then
And
we
I'm
can
sorry.
have discussion.
It doesn't like me, it likes you, Jose. I don't understand. So, no, it's one of the, so an FTE, it's a 0.4 FTE. And my concern is this, I apologize, I don't know which item it is.
I'm gonna,
Is it,
give me 1 second, Caesar.
it maybe, yes, campus supervisor for Gonzalez High.
Talking about a class.
Yeah.
So you're, so not an SRO, a campus supervisor and an SRO are two different things.
Yeah, sorry, I thought it was campus supervisor. It's not campus supervisor?
It's not an SRO.
You said an SRO.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry.
Trying.
It's because I saw the police on the screen.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Let me find it. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Is that,
Which item?
is that on the consent agenda? Okay.
So we'll go ahead and remove 15 or pull 15.4 for discussion.
Yep. Thank you.
Can I get a motion for the remaining consent agenda items?
So move, Araceli.
Moved by Ms. Flores, second by Mr. Lopez. All those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Going to item 15.4. The approval of classified personnel assignment order. Yes. And you wanted this item pulled, Caesar,
For discussion, yeah.
for discussion? And you had a question?
Yeah, well, more of a statement, maybe a question as well. How about I'll do both? First, a statement. The need for a female campus supervisor at Gonzalez High School, in fact, at all the sites, but let's just focus on the high school for a second, is big. And I really fully, truly appreciate it now that girls tennis in the first, time in 40 years has a female coach. There's things, and I'm sorry, and I hope I don't step on feet here, but it helps to have a female campus supervisor.
So I'm gonna preface
And
because
so-
hold on.
Yeah.
I just need to preface that when we are hiring based on skill
Yes,
and not based on gender. So we
Yes.
need to tread lightly
Thank you.
when we're talking about our hiring process, because
Eh.
I do not want it to be misconstrued that we are hiring based on gender.
so the powers that be happen to select this person who happens to be a female. And to me, that is fantastic. Now, the issue is not that she's a female or not a female. The issue is the number of hours that this person who happens to be a female is going to be working at the high school. It's 4 hours. And that, to me, in my estimation, is clearly not enough. The school day is 7 hours long. Okay. So now we have another person who happens to be a female who can, I think we can use the services of that person for 3 more hours so that they can cover the entire day. And more specifically, going into female bathrooms, right? Who's going to do that? Well, we've never had anybody to do that other than female staff who's doing it outside of their work job duties, right? And so now because the powers that be did hire an employee who happened to be a female, that's fantastic. So I say, for me, my personal opinion is that this person should have, or another person, that the coverage should be there full time. Why is the coverage there? I thought we talk about equity all the time. Why is the coverage there only for 4 hours for females and 7 hours for males? To me, that is not fair and not equitable.
Well, because
Thank you.
the coverage is based on the supervision's needs, not based on the students that they're covering. As a campus supervisor, you service all of students, whether they're female or male.
The bathrooms, in my opinion, the female bathrooms, in my opinion, need to be supervised for 7 hours, not for 4 hours. However, we accomplish that.
Mr. Soriano, if you can go to the podium, because I think, did you have a correction to this? Is there a correction that?
Answer Ms. Karen's question. The position is 6.5.
Oh, because we have
She
four.
she's a student and she's a student who wants to take up on law enforcement. So it's a 6.5 position. And there are times that I will pay. No, she's 9 to 2:30, 3 o'clock. Yeah. So it's 6.5. I met with Veronica Ramirez and we did the extra paperwork. So yes, at the beginning, back in May, June, it was a 4 and I thought that wasn't enough. So with our previous interim superintendent, Mr. Basati, I said, boss, we need 6.5. I need more coverage. And so that's where that came. So sorry for the confusement. We did add another paper in July, another form to amend it.
So since this is a board action item and it
Yeah.
is clearly not correct on the agenda, I believe this needs to be tabled for the next board meeting where we can fix the number of hours there to the correct number of hours, because otherwise we will be
Yeah.
passing an agenda item.
Six.
It's
6.5.
it's listed here as 4 hours on the agenda. So clearly we cannot approve this at this time. And I understand that we need to hire Dr. Zamora, that we need to hire sometimes before we approve. I understand that, and I'm totally fine with that. All I'm saying is that the board needs to approve the correct number of hours when we approve an action item, and definitely not approve something that we know to be incorrect, because this goes in the record.
Roxanne, did you have clarification?
Yeah, what we will do in HR is I'm going to follow up on the matter and then we'll ensure that it's correct. And if there's any additional information that needs to be provided, we will communicate that back to the board. And I believe that Candace has some additional input.
Three of us up here. Hi, I'm Candace Camacho. Initially, the original hire was for 4 hours. Mr. Soriano has been an advocate for making sure that this campuses are secure. So in the start of that 4-hour piece, they started to realize that we need more time. And even the other classified campus supervisors who are males happened to be males, I understand, but also attested that it was difficult to call some of the female students out on their dress code issues about going in. So Mr. Soriano has already actively advocated to try and increase that time, but this is correct, the 4 hours. What will chase up will probably be an amendment with the increase of hours. So what you see in front of you, that is a contract that has already been signed for the 4. There would probably be a change of assignment to increase that fill. So anyway, but it is noticeable having a female campus supervisor, and I know it's not a comfortable conversation, but that is the fact of the matter. And it's actually been well received in terms of the students. Maybe you all can attest to something differently, but the students, as much as they hate it, I think they appreciate it because it's like they have like a mom on campus saying, hey girls, or hey boys, this is not appropriate kind of thing. So the end. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we can in fact go ahead and approve based on the addendum coming forward. So any questions or comments, Jose? Maria?
Nothing now. Thank you.
Caesar?
Thank you.
Based on the clarification, seeing that we will be getting an addendum, and so that we are able to pass through the remaining employees as well, can I get a motion to pass item 15.4? Moved by Mr. Lopez, second by Ms. Cuevas. All those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Passes. Moving on to item 16, action items. Action item 16.1, to provide memorandum of understanding between the Gonzales Unified School District and Gonzales Teachers Association for compensation of the athletic training work and extra duties related to sports medicine co-curricular program. Is there a staff report?
Okay, this is a MOU that was mutually agreed upon with the Teachers Association and administration, and it's a very important, in just a second, I'm just pulling my tool here. It's a very important task that's on hand here. The agreement that we have is going to provide support to all of the sports groups. We have a class that is taught at Gonzales High during the 6th period, and there are a number of students that are part of this, are part of the class, and they provide support throughout the school year for the various teams. And so it's just very, very positive what they're accomplishing. And we appreciate the bargaining unit working collaboratively with administration to mutually agree to this agreement.
Thank you, Roxanne. And I forgot to ask Marissa, do we have any public comments for any of our action items? No. Seeing as there is no public comments for 16.1, board questions or comments? Our board, student board members, any questions or comments? Jose? Maria?
Thank you.
This comment, I want to thank staff for working to bring this forward. This is something that all our sports teams, and not just sports teams, but any extracurricular organization appreciates, especially with the heat wave, having the sports med kids out there doing their practicum, having ice, having water. That benefits the whole campus, as we all know. The school, and for the student board members here, I'm sure they can agree with me, their day does not end at 3:30, right? In a sense, it almost just begins, right? And they have many more hours to go here on campus doing activities and things like that. And I think it's great that Mr. Cuevas and his class is out there, and staff was able to come up with a mutually, I believe, hopefully it's a mutually beneficial agreement. So thank you.
Thank you. And I understand they've had a very positive impact, especially this last week. I was speaking with our Mr. Soriano, and he was giving me an update on it. And it was really pleasing to hear that the students are actively supporting all of the sports that are going on.
Ms. Flores? Thank you, Roxanne. Can I get a motion to approve 16.1? Moved by Mr. Lopez, second by Ms. Cuevas. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passes. Item 16.2 to approve the memorandum of understanding between Gonzales Unified School District and California School Employees Association and its Chapter 756 regarding college and career center technician, custodian vacancy, and short-term instructional aid 1 positions. There's 3. Staff report? Is there a staff report? Okay.
Yes, and this was another positive memorandum that was approved. If it had, the groundwork was actually started before I came on board. The first item, the college and career technician job, that job description was approved. I believe it was approved in August. And so we have that job description ready to go and we'll get it posted. And I know that it will be something that will greatly enhance the high school. And then on the custodian vacancy, this one has to do with an agreement that we have sometimes employees that work. There's a contract item that makes reference to if the employees continue to work over 60 days that we owe them an assignment. And so there's some items that had to be dealt with and we had to sit down, kind of work with the association on. They were very collaborative in coming to some good terms. And then the last was the short-term positions for the instructional aid. And this has to do with the ESSER funds that the district has and some additional, and it's actually ESSER state funds. And so that there's some additional support that will be provided to the TK program. And so the association they were so collaborative in working with me. It was a really nice welcome into the district in seeing how well they worked with us with this matter. And that's all I have on that, unless you have questions.
Board questions or comments? Student board members? No? Jose?
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Roxanne. Can I get a motion to approve 16.2? Moved by Mr. Lopez, second by Ms. Flores. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passes. Item 16.3, adoption of resolution number 2022-23-02, sufficiency of textbooks and instructional materials for the 2022-23 school year. Staff report.
Candace Camacho again, our Assistant Superintendent of Ed Services is not here this evening, but this is related to Williams, and we are required as a school district to do this resolution annually. And so it's related to our TK through 12th grade core curriculum.
Excellent. Any board questions or comments, Jose? I'm sorry, student board members? I'm sorry, I skipped you. No? Ms. Flores? Mr. Ayon?
This is a subject dear and yes, dear and near to my heart. Obviously, we meet the what's the word called sufficiency. You guys know what that word means? It's enough, right? We know this. Enough is okay, but enough is not enough for me. And this is why what I'm saying is that for kids to have access to textbooks, that's great. What I would love is for TK through 12 to have these books accessible online. Every book. Wouldn't that be nice, guys? Right? It would be pretty nice. I think so, especially when you weigh 80 pounds, right? We got high schoolers that weigh probably, close to that, and I know we meet the requirements and yay. Meeting the requirements in high school is a C, right? That's a 2.0, not so good. So my comment is I would love for all their textbooks from TK to 12 to be accessible online for our kids. Now, if they want to carry those books, go for it, but they shouldn't have to. They shouldn't have to carry one book. Why? Those books should be accessible. It should be available at school. And when they're at home, it should be online. If there's an earthquake, well, then that's when they take their book. Right? Why else? should be just a notepad, or actually not even that, right? Your little iPad, or it's not an iPad, it's your Chromebook. Yeah, it should be just a Chromebook. You know, that to me is like the Play-Doh perfect that we should achieve too, not
Okay.
just meeting sufficiency. Thanks, you gave me a C. I'm so happy. I'm being sarcastic.
No, I get
Don't
the
do that.
sarcasm. I think
Yeah.
this form really is about sufficiency. It's just about check off the box. Yes, we meet it.
No,
But to
yeah.
your point, I think having different modalities for students to be able to access different curriculum, it makes sense. I think that looks different at different sites. I can't really speak to that because I don't exactly know what the curriculum access is at all the different levels. But I think it is something for us to strive for and make sure that we have multiple options open to kids. But that's just
Yeah.
my opinion. I'm filling in.
I
here
love your
tonight.
opinion because it's close to mine.
Okay.
And certainly I think for the core classes, at least for the core classes, you know, if it's some class that, you know, is, you know, but math, science,
Mhm.
English, what you get tested on, it would be fantastic for every kid from TK through 12 to have that access online.
Mhm.
Fantastic.
And yeah,
It's just a comment.
Okay.
And my dear wish for many years now.
thank you.
Ms. Flores, any questions or comments?
Thank you.
I have no questions. Thank you for the information, Ms. Candace.
Okay.
Seeing this is a resolution, it does require a roll call vote. Yes.
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 16.4, adoption of resolution number 2022-23-03, approving the GAN limit and project limit calculations. Staff report? Is there a staff report? Oh, Miss Joni's up there.
Good evening, members of the board, student board members, and Dr. Zamora. Thank you for allowing me to be here again for another board meeting. As always, I'm honored. So the GAN limit resolution, which we're required to approve each year, we have to reestablish our appropriations limit. Prop 4 was passed in 1979, which essentially established a limit on appropriations on governmental agencies. The limit's commonly known as the GAN limit. Each year, it's required for us to revise this based upon the amount of money that we've received in tax dollars and in other dollars that we received from the government, and how much we've spent in relation to the monies that we received. So the resolution that you have here, the GAN form that goes with it, that has the backup, that has the number, is actually included in the packet for your unaudited actuals. So it's not attached to this resolution, but it is in your packet. So the revised limits calculated at the fiscal year end and that are included in that packet are on Form GAN, and the revised amounts for year 21-22 are $11,834,545. And the projected amount for year 22-23 is $12,728,054. And that is all. If you have any questions.
Any questions, student board members? Jose? Maria?
Thank you.
Caesar?
Sorry. So this is an increase. Sorry, I can, is it a million? Close?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
The increase on the limit, is it?
It's roughly 485,000.
Okay, I'm sorry. And this is just the limit for that we're able to,
So if we were the state of California, if we were to over appropriate taxes, we would then have to send that money out to the taxpayers and to local school districts, any over appropriations. For school districts, the way that works is if we've received more tax money than what we had estimated last year, we then adjust our appropriations limit to meet what it was that we actually received, because we did spend that money on the students. So the resolution is in effect adjusting that rate each year
adjusting it to the
to be
actual.
what it was that we were in the actual. So it's automatically calculated. We don't make any adjustments in it physically.
So adjusted so that we meet it, obviously,
Mhm.
once it's adjusted.
But it's still a requirement
Yeah.
that we have to do.
Okay, thank you.
Ursula?
None, thank you.
Thank you. So, seeing as it's Another resolution requires a roll call vote. Yes.
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 Motion passes. Item number 16.5, approval of the unaudited actuals for the 2022-23 fiscal year. Staff report.
Good evening again. I'm here to announce, I'm sorry, I don't think I told who I was when I greeted you all. My name is Joni Lumbra, Assistant Superintendent of Business Services. So we're doing unaudited actuals at this one. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry, I just lost my place. in the packet.
16.5.
So I'm here to announce that we hired a consultant. Her name is Miss Nancy Pfeiffer. She's going to be providing you a presentation regarding the closing of the books that she did for us because the fiscal director position was vacant and still is vacant at this time. I wanted to point out to the board, though, that in your packet, you have a variety of forms that are included. And each one is according to a fund that we have in the county treasury, right? And one of the pages that you have in your packet is a summary for general fund, Fund 01, which line items what you would see in the form that's in our packet. And I wanted to point out to you that the actual forms for Fund 01 are not on the board docs. So that was discovered today. After seeking legal consult about it, I was told to go ahead with this and not pull it from the agenda because it's requirement by law in order for it to be approved tonight. And then we'll bring the totality of the form with a quick update so that you can see the actual forms and not just the summary that was an Excel spreadsheet at the next agenda. And then I'll review that with you if you have any questions. But at this time, Ms. Pfeiffer is going to be doing a presentation for you.
Good evening. My name is Nancy Pfeiffer. And I would like to thank members of the board, Board President, Superintendent Zamora, for the opportunity to assist the district in closing their books. I would just like to know if everybody can hear me.
Yes.
Excellent, excellent. I do want to point out that the books that we are closing are for fiscal year 21-22, and it's the unaudited actuals for last fiscal year. There is a presentation that was included in your packet, and I will be going through that presentation. Does everybody have a copy of that presentation?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to go through an overview of the unaudited actuals. We're going to review the district's revenue and expenditures, the district's budget and reporting schedules, next steps, and any questions the board may have. The unaudited actuals, again, are for the 21-22 fiscal year. They are titled unaudited actuals because they have not been audited neither by the County Office of Education nor our external auditors. The unaudited actuals are required by state law and must be reviewed and adopted by the board. Once these documents are adopted by the board, they will be provided to the county superintendent of schools for their independent review. The final audit report will be presented to the board in January or February of the fiscal year 22-23. The unaudited actuals, the next slide that you have in front of you is a comparison of what the estimated actuals were in June and what we actually ended the fiscal year. This is the total in revenue. The estimated actual showed that the district's revenue was going to be a total of $46.5 million. The unaudited actuals are actually almost $2 million. There was a decrease of $4.3 million in revenue from the estimated actuals to the unaudited actuals. Most of the decrease was in federal funding, and that's because federal funding is not received unless it's been spent, earned. And so it becomes part of our next year's ability to spend, at which point the district will earn the funding once it's spent, and then the district will receive those funds. So it's not a reduction in funds, it just gets moved, the allocation gets moved from last fiscal year to this fiscal year. So this fiscal year, the district will have an additional $4.6 million in federal funding to spend. So what else happened between June and now that we've closed the books? There was also a significant decrease in expenditures from what we estimated in June to the unaudited actuals and total expenditures. We estimated that we were going to spend $42.7 million. What we actually spent was $35 million, and the variance is $7.6 million. Most of it in books and supplies, services and operating expenses. And again, if we have an allocation about $4 million in federal funding that was not spent, a lot of the carryover or a lot of the reduction in expenditures has to do with those funds not spent in prior fiscal year. As far as the unrestricted ending fund balance, the district estimated that we were going to have $15.9 million. I'm only referring to the unrestricted side of the house. $15.9 million in our ending fund balance, of which $5,000 was in the revolving account, prepaid expenditures $433,000. Our reserve for economic uncertainties is $1.3 million, and assigned was 14.1. At unaudited actuals, because of the closing of the books, we ended our unaudited actuals, or we were able to increase our beginning fund balance to $4.5 million instead of 2.9 as we estimated, with a variance of $1.6 million. The beginning fund balance for last fiscal years was $13 million. I believe you're familiar with audit adjustments that needed to be accounted for. So the reduction of the audit adjustments brings our ending fund balance at the point of us closing the books to $16.5 million. On the unrestricted side, which is a slight increase of $591,000 net. Had we not had the audit adjustment, then it would have been $1.6 million. So the components of the ending fund balance are, again, $5,000 in the revolving account, prepaid expenditures of $506,000. Our reserve for economic uncertainties is $1 million, and then the assigned of $14.9 million. And as far as the restricted side of the house, we estimated that we were going to increase our fund balance for restricted programs by $691,000. The unaudited actuals came in at $2.3 million, an increase of $1.6 million. The beginning fund balance is $2.2 million. There was an additional audit adjustment that impacted the restricted side of the house for $144,000. The ending fund balance for restricted programs was estimated at 2.9. We're closing the books with 4.4, an increase of almost $1.5 million. So the unaudited actuals, they were pretty close on target as far as the unrestricted side of the house. Most of the changes, as we talked about a little bit, were in books and supplies and contracted services. But based on our estimated actuals, the district ended the 21-22 fiscal year with a fund balance of $16.5 million. So before I move on to the next item, which are basically the budget calendar and so on and so forth, are there any questions on the financial side of the house before I move to the budget calendar?
Jose? Maria? No questions. Thank you. Caesar? Regarding what she's presented so far.
The federal revenue decreased by 58%.
It was not an increase in federal revenue.
Sorry, decreased.
I'm sorry, it was not a decrease in federal revenue. So what happens is the district receives federal funding, and in order to actually get the cash, we have to spend the money. So if we don't spend the money, then it becomes an allocation for the following year. So the adjustment that you see, we didn't spend that money last fiscal year, but we're going to have the ability to spend it this fiscal year. So it becomes carryover. But it's not a carryover in the ending fund balance. It's a carryover that will be reflected. You will see this change at first interim. You will see that increase of that 50% increase in federal funding when you see your first interim report.
So in essence, we start with a $4.3 million credit for next school year.
Correct. That's a very good way of putting it, sir.
You're welcome, ma'am. And the other thing, audit adjustment restatements of $1 million.
That is correct.
What is that?
So what happens is, as I shared with you, we close the books and then we have an external auditor that comes in and reviews the books. So in 2020, 2021, not last year, but the year before, the auditors implemented audit adjustments. I believe that information may have been shared with the board by the Assistant Superintendent of Business Services. So that
the audit is
impacts.
going to be the next item on the list.
Okay.
And so this is going to be reviewed next.
Okay.
Okay, excellent. So that has impacted so not last year, but the year before, audit adjustments are now being reflected in last year's. So we're handling it in last year. So unless when they review the books, the closing of the books this year, is there's any additional adjustments, then we should be clear of any audit adjustments that need to be accounted for.
Okay. And then the last thing is our ending fund. Oh, I'm sorry. For you. Oh, okay. Okay. And then the last thing, our ending fund balance increased by about $500,000 to 16.5 million.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the balance that Scott Siegel was saying is getting a little bit on the high side?
Yes, that's exactly what Scott was saying. That's when he pointed out that graph for you that showed each year you have your budget, then you have your first interim, your second interim, and then unaudited actuals.
What does Siri have to say about
Doesn't understand me. So we're seeing that exact same trend. So the exact same thing happened when the books were closed for prior fiscal year. Exactly what Scott was showing you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that we're going to be looking at moving forward.
As an opportunity to
opportunity.
hopefully bring back some programs with this slush fund.
Catch up on some facilities that are in dire need of repairs and some new items that are needed district-wide in all of the campuses.
Learning
That's
loss,
the hope.
right? As well.
We've got other money for learning loss. So this money can go to special projects that have been needed to be taken care of.
I like that. Thank you.
I think we are good to move ahead.
Okay, excellent. At this point in time, the 22-23 budget was adopted in June. The unaudited actuals are being brought to the board in time for the requirement of being approved by September 15th. What's next is the annual independent audit, and I will be available to respond to any questions the auditors may have about the process that was used, that I used in closing the books. So I will be available to speak to the auditors as well as the County Office of Education to make sure any questions they may have about the closing of the 21-22 fiscal year financials are answered. The next step is the first interim report, then the second interim report, and then in May, you will see the 23-24 LCAP and budget proposed budget for the 23-24 fiscal year. So as far as next steps are concerned, we're preparing for the audit review and of course the first interim report, which should be brought to the board no later than December 15th. And I am available for any questions you may have of the financials.
Any calendar questions, Jose? Maria?
None, thank you.
Thank you for your help. I know that you worked under stressful conditions in a very extreme deadline. So we appreciate your help. Hopefully I'm speaking for the board and the district on that, if I may take that privilege. So thank you for your help.
I just want to take a moment to thank the board for the opportunity to assist the district. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Appreciated. Can I get, seeing as there's no public comment, can I get a motion to approve item 16.5 of the unaudited actuals for the 2021-2022 school year?
That's correct. There appears to be a
Fiscal
typo
year.
on the agenda for that line.
2021-2022 fiscal year. It was moved by Ms. Flores, second by Mr. Lopez. All those in favor? Aye. Anybody oppose? Motion passes. Item 16.6, 2020 and 2021 audit report, annual financial statement, staff report.
Good evening, members of the board, student board members, and Dr. Zamora. It's my pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Mark Jew, who's going to be reviewing our audit. That was for not this year that Nancy just closed, but for the prior year that it should have been in traditional times, it would have been due December 15th. But there were circumstances that prevented it from being completed at that time. So one thing that I wanted to discuss with you before I hand over the microphone is that we did have an audit finding and it was significant. And that audit finding did total more than $1.2 million in reductions to our beginning fund balance for the year that Ms. Pfeiffer just discussed with you. And so these errors or misstatements happened in the prior year. They impacted this past year that was just now closed, and which the firm which Mr. Du represents has audited, and he's going to be covering that for you now.
Thank you.
An introduction. My name is Mark Du, and I'm one of the managers in the Fresno office of Eide Bailey, and we are auditors in the 2021 fiscal year. And just to start with our basic audit procedures, is we usually visit your district about twice a year. At the beginning of the year, we come out, we audit attendance, we'll look at your ASB. We'll do internal controls over your disbursements, your cash receipts, your payroll, and we'll start with some state compliance testing. And then towards the end of the year, we'll come out once the unaudited actuals have been approved, and we'll look at your balance sheet items like cash, accounts payable, and then we will submit your audit report. And basically, after all of that is submitted, we issue an opinion on your financial statements. So for 2021, the opinion on your financial statements was unmodified, which is the highest opinion you can get because you don't want to see any modifications to the opinion letter. And so there's multiple sections to the audit report. After the opinion letter is the MD&A, the management discussion and analysis. And that's a great spot in the audit report because it's the only spot where you can do a comparison between the current year and the prior year. So it does a great job reading through it, explaining the different schedules of information that's provided later in the report. Then the next 2 pages in the audit report are the government-wide financial statements. So Nancy explained that the unaudited financials are approved by you, and then we go to the government-wide financial statements and combine them using full accrual accounting, which includes tracking the capital assets and the long-term debt. So this is really the only place in the audit report where you can see a combined balance of all the district funds, long-term debt, capital assets, your net pension liability, OPEB, all of the district accounts. And then from there, after the government-wide financial statements and the fund financial statements or the notes to the financial statements. So you can go through the notes, flip through and find any information, a more detailed breakdown of information in the audit report. And then after those schedules are the supplementary schedules. You're going to find the ADA numbers, you can find budgets, you can find other information about the district. So that's the real breakdown of the audit report. And like Nancy said, well, and in 2021, the main change to the audit report was GUSD 84. And what that did was it took the ASB accounts, which were reported separately in the fiduciary accounts, and it brought them into Fund 8, into your government-wide financial statements. And that's usually done. There are two options that the state gave. You can either track ASBs in your in the county cash, or you could do cash in banks and do an entry at the end of the year or every quarter, showing the revenue and the expenditures of the ASBs. And basically GASB said, hey, we really think this is district funds. We want it in the district's fund financial statements. So that was the main change in 2021. And then Nancy also discussed the finding, and it was a large finding. And the bulk of that finding was in LCFF and the EPA Education Protection Account funding. And I was not the one who completed this, but looking back at our work papers, it seemed that the district posted an accounts receivable for LCFF and EPA revenue when really it should have been accounts payable. So really what happened is that number looked so big because a receivable was booked. So we had to decrease the receivable and then create an accounts payable for that funding. And 2021 was there's a lot going on with the LCF funding that year. There were deferrals for the whole year. So the school district was getting partial funding for many months out of the year. So there was quite a bit going on to close out that year. So that was the main portion of the finding. The other issue we found was in the cafeteria fund. The April revenue for the meals was actually received by the district, but there was an accounts receivable set up. So basically that revenue was posted twice. So we had to remove that revenue because it had already been posted. So those were the two main issues of that finding. That is all I had for the 2021 audit report.
Thank you. Any questions, student board members? Jose?
So today we're balanced in our current state of the district.
Yeah. So it looks like I said, it happened in 2021. Then in 21-22, everything works itself through. And then now we're in the next fiscal year in 22-23. So it has already went through with the apportionment.
Thank you for that.
Thank you for your presentation.
You're welcome.
Caesar, questions?
Thank you. So the $1 million adjustment, it had to do with the 2022. I guess you could say there's two main apportionments or revenue in the LCFF calculator. It's the EPA Education Protection Account and the LCFF, the Local Control Accountability Formula. So my limited understanding of LCFF is we get money. So why would this have been an accounts payable rather than accounts receivable? To me, it would make sense, again, with limited understanding, that it would be an accounts receivable because we received the money. So how was this able to be an accounts payable, or should have been an accounts payable?
It can happen in a lot of ways. Sometimes ADA numbers may go down. Sometimes the EPA funding, it may be different. And normally there's a huge LCFF calculator that's completed, and oh, thank you.
I'm just gonna help Mr. Do out here. So what happens is we calculate our state revenue every year and multiple times a year using the LCFF, and that stands for Local Control Funding Formula. It's balanced with EPA. And so EPA comes from like taxes, so property taxes and stuff like that. And so they balance each other out. If EPA goes up, LCFF goes down. And then the total amount always stays the same. So what happened in this particular year, 2 years ago, was when they were closing the books, there may have been, it's conjecture, there may have been an understanding that with the cash deferrals, what we were supposed to have, somebody thought that we were going to expect more money in the following year after the books were closed. And so they booked a receivable. which is a promise that we're going to receive money from the government or from another entity. And that was showing up in the next school year. But what truly happened was the money was actually received when it should have been received. But because of the way that they balanced one another out, one went up and one went down, and we should have at that point in time set up a payable, not a receivable. We don't actually send the money back to the government, but we show it in the books that our apportionment is reduced by that same amount of money. And so it had the effect of making after the audit adjustments happened, of taking the beginning balance of the new school year, which was last year, and reducing that by the $1.2 million. The impact of the receivable being reversed and then adding the payable that should have been set up in the first place. I don't know if that explains it a little bit more, makes it easier to understand. But I can always do any type of workshops or whatever to go over the LCFF calculator and the EPA funding and how that state funding works at any time.
And this is a common practice that is done every year to keep the LCFF and the EPA balance, correct?
Multiple times a year, at least 4, sometimes 5 times a year. We're redoing that calculation. As a matter of fact, we're getting ready to do it again because with what has happened with the newly state enacted budget, there's more adjustments to the LCFF calculator. So whenever the governor goes through a new portion of what he's releasing with his expectations, we recalculate our LCFF calculator to see how the governor's newly enacted items are going to impact our state funding for our school district, because they tell us how it is going to be for the entire state at that point in time.
So my limited understanding for the LCSF is that basically the government says, okay, Gonzalez High School, you are X amount of students. You're the district is $2,400 kids, right? For a district that's 2,400, you should have a budget of, let's say, 30 million, right? Which is kind of close, actually.
Right.
And then they say, okay, well, what taxes do you receive from city, from state, from whatever? And whatever you don't receive, whatever there is a gap, if there's a gap, we will fill in the gap, right? So then the total is still 30 million, right? But now if you receive it all from taxes and such, they'll give you very little money. But if you are our district and receive very little from taxes and all those things, the government gives you a ton of money, right? Which is what's the case for us now. And like our sorry, our I don't want to call you by your first name. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Miss Lumbra. What she's saying is that needs to be rebalanced throughout the year to say, all right, you should have 30 million. Well, how much do you have now? Do you have 20? Do you have 40? Right. And in this case, we actually had more than we should have received. And therefore, this mistake happened. So really, it was a mistake of rebalancing.
Yeah, it was an overstatement of revenue and an understatement of expenditures was the easiest way to explain it. And so when you add them together, it's $1.2 million to the general fund.
Well, we're glad you're here and are able to prevent this from happening in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here and I'm so thankful.
Thank you. Thank you, Joni. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Seeing as we need to send this off, can I get a motion to approve item 16.6?
Second, Cuevas.
Moved by Mr. Lopez, second by Ms. Cuevas. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passes. Item 16.7, approval of addendum number 1 of the employment agreement with Assistant Superintendent Business Services. Staff report.
Okay, so this next item is something that is required by the law, and it does not change the terms of Joni's contract. And there's no changes in her pay nor the benefits. There's just some technical things that needed to be adjusted, and it had to do with the requirement to have non-duty days. And so it's just a correction that needed to be made. The attorney went through it and has ensured that all is correct. Did you want to add to it?
No, that's it. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, and that's it. Thank you.
Can I get a motion to approve item 16.7? Moved by Ms. Flores, second by Mr. Lopez. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anybody oppose? Motion passes. Item 16.8, approval of agreement between Gonzales Unified School District and the Regents of University of California, Santa Cruz. Staff report.
This is a standard contract that we have every year with the UC Santa Cruz, and this is how we bring the MESA program to Gonzales High School. And there's added benefits to that with regard to staff development. There's local competitions. We also receive a transcript evaluation service contract or service, and that is about $5,000 of a value. So anyway, this is a benefit to our district.
Excellent. Board questions or comments, student board members? Jose?
Just a clarification, there are 10 campuses that they use, so we just have to go to one of the campuses to be able to get this service.
That's a great question. I'm not 100% certain. It's just been a partnership that we've had going on for several years. Yeah, thanks.
Maria?
Thank you.
Caesar?
I'm sorry, is this, does this include the student teachers or is that a separate program?
It's a different thing. This is specifically to MESA and STEM.
Okay, thank you.
Ursula? No question. Thank you, Candace. Can I get a motion to approve item 16.8? Moved by Mr. Lopez, second by Ms. Flores. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Motion passes. Item 16.9, approval of employment agreement with the interim assistant principal, Gonzales High School, Amalia Guzman. Staff report.
Okay, this item is something that is, it's a standard contract and the attorney has reviewed it, and it is to provide some support to Gonzales High School. The assistant principal that was there left in July, and so it left a gap, and the purpose of this contract is to provide the support for the site. And hopefully everything unfolds to have the person on board very quickly if it's approved.
Thank you. Student board members, any questions or comments?
Question, this is a new person coming into the district, right?
Yeah, and it would only be a person that would fill in during the time that we're going through the process of hiring, formally hiring. And I am, or the Human Resource Office is working directly with the principal and administration to have a person come in that is going to be on a regular paid status. This one is just interim during that transition time.
Person that was subbing for assistant principal at Fairview.
No, this one was not, but she's available on a very, very part-time. This person was available a bit more time. So depending on how the transition goes.
Contract I see that it's effective September 13th. If we approve it tonight, then she'll start tomorrow.
If all is cleared, yes.
Maria, any questions?
No questions. Thank you.
Caesar?
Thank you. I know that this is needed. This is for the high school guys. And so, you're getting an interim vice principal until a full vice principal is hired. And of course, it's very important. I think that all sites, have site admin, have sufficient site admin, the principal and the vice principal. Obviously, they have different jobs, and those jobs need to be done, right, for you guys. So thank you for bringing this forward.
Are we, we're still canvassing obviously for the VP position. Do we
Yes,
have
we did some
any,
screening this week, and if all works out well, we're hoping to have someone soon, but it just depends on the process.
Okay, thank you. Can I get a motion to approve item 16.9?
Move, Mr. Lopez.
Moved by Mr. Lopez,
Second, Cuevas?
second by Ms. Cuevas. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Motion passes. Item 16.10, revision to the classified management confidential salary schedule. Staff report.
Okay, with this item, you'll notice that the salary schedule, it looks almost the same. There's just one minor change, and that is the change in title. And that has to do with, under the section of confidential, it says executive assistant to the superintendent. And so that we've made a change in that title. And it's still, later on the agenda, you'll see the job description, and it basically just changes just the title.
Thank you, Roxanne. Any board questions, student board members? Jose?
None, thank you.
Caesar?
Just a slight comment, you know, in the past, when we deal with salary schedules, we always have it, I don't know, maybe it's repetitive, but we always have the old salary schedule, even if it is a small change, just to have the new one and then the old one. I think that's just good practice. And also that goes to job descriptions as well, even though that's probably coming up. Yeah, just to have the comparison, right?
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll include that.
I think, which you're correct, but I think what they did is it's in red. So that's what the difference.
Yeah, it's just the one word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I get a motion to approve 16.10? Moved by Ms. Flores.
Second.
Can I, a second by Ms. Cuevas? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Motion passes. Item 16.11, revision to the board policy and administrative regulations, 6158 independent study. Staff report.
Law changed July 1st, 2022. And so these are changes that we need to make based on AB 181. I think I listed a couple bullet points, but for the audience, previously we were required to offer independent study in the 21-22 school year to kind of mitigate some of the COVID cases. That has since changed in the 22-23 school year. Students with IEPs, there's a different, same process, but if there's a disagreement on placement in independent study, students may now participate in contrast to what the belief is of the independent study team, excuse me, the IEP team. And then there's some different thresholds or ways that we handle long-term independent study with regards to tiered re-engagement. So if students are not successful, how do we kind of reel them back in? And then also short-term independent study used to be 5 to 14 days, consecutive school days, and now it's been reduced to 3 to 14 school days, consecutive school days. So those are the changes that have been made, and you'll see those with the strikeouts and the additions in both the administrative regulations and the board policy, the 6158. Any questions?
Board questions, students? Jose? Or Maria? Caesar?
Yeah, I'm sorry, do we have maybe an estimate as to how many kids are in independent study?
At this time, we have about 35 students, and that's probably 5th grade. No, actually, that would be 7th grade through 12th grade right now. Yeah.
And you're saying, so kids with IEPs, there's a way for them to get?
There is, and there always has been, but this, I think, this new legislation, there were some issues with regard to IEP teams not thinking that it was FAPE. And I don't remember the acronym. I'm looking out in the crowd because I know Eric's sitting out there. But there's some ways that if the IEP team said, no, this is not a good fit, we can't necessarily discriminate against the student because of that, if that makes sense. There's lots of different cases coming in with students, a lot of anxiety I'm seeing. And a lot of that even more so after the pandemic. So yeah, but we have about 35 students at this time.
And the goal, I think the goal of independent study then is to hopefully re-engage with
Absolutely.
the student and bring them back into on campus. Right?
And independent study, it's a program within a school, but those are still students of the respective school site. So students have every opportunity or should be encouraged if they want to use the school library, if they want to do sports, if they want to do whatever extracurriculars, they still should be able to be engaged. Typically, because it's a natural breaking point, each semester we try and encourage them if, to reintroduce them to the school site and things like that. Some are completely turned off and some are willing. We just have to kind of cheerlead them on. So it's kind of a different strategies that we use. It's not, We don't want them to be on it long, like their entire high school thing, but there's no promises, right? Because sometimes it's a fit for them for different reasons. So yeah.
So right now with COVID, we probably have about what, 2,200 kids in the district or so, about estimate. And so 35 divided by 2,200, that's pretty good.
Well, and remember too that, so when I say 35, those are our long-term students. We are vetting our short-term independent study policy to make sure it's real tight, making sure that the curriculum that we're giving students is meaningful and not just these random packets kind of. So we're working with curriculum and instruction in our school sites, and we're also going to be meeting with our GTA to make sure that this makes sense for everyone. We want to make sure everyone gets behind it because we know that learning loss is inevitable, especially with kids being out sick. There's nothing that we can really do about that, right? So if they're home quarantining, we want to give them something meaningful to do at home. So, but before we roll it out, we're trying to just be really thoughtful and meaningful about it rather than, than just throwing it together. So that's anticipated within the next, I don't know, within this week, actually. We've already started the process, but we want to make sure that data and all the protocols that we have in place, it makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense, I guess.
Yeah, no, definitely.
There's the behind the scenes stuff that kind of the layman doesn't understand. So it's just, we're just making sure our I's are dotted.
Thank you.
Araceli?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you for being so thorough, Candace, because some of that I was not aware of. So I appreciate the thoroughness and your explanation.
Yep, for the next
Can I
one.
get a motion to approve item 16.11?
So move, Araceli.
Moved by Ms. Flores,
Second.
second by Ms. Cuevas. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passes. Item 16.12, approval of the overnight travel request for the Gonzales High School migrant education students to participate in the Migrant Education Regional 16 Leadership Retreat at Camp Monte Tayon in Aptos on September 23rd through 25th, 2022. Staff report?
So we have a migrant service aide by the name of Jorge Morales, who does phenomenal things with students. 7 students from Gonzales High School will be attending this retreat along with other students. I don't know if it's the Tri-County area or the county. So this is typical and they're following protocol to make sure that overnight trips are approved.
Excellent. Board questions or comments? Jose, or our students? Sorry. Maria?
Just have fun and learn a lot.
Yeah, I still remember my summer camp trips when I was in Chular. Yes, I am a Chularian. I love those things. I think I went on three of them. Man, they're so fun. They're so fun. So I hope these kids really have a good time.
Thank you. High quality events through the migrant program. We have a lot to learn, I think, from some of our partners.
Enjoy. I hope the kids have a great time. Can I get a motion to pass item 16.12? Moved by Ms. Flores, second by Mr. Lopez. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passes. Item 16.13 to ratify the listed contracts entered into by the superintendent on behalf of the district as per board policy 3312 as of 9/8/2022. Is it self-explanatory? Or do we need a staff report? No, self-explanatory. All of the contracts are listed there. Any questions or comments from the student board members? Jose? Maria?
None, thank you.
Caesar?
No, thanks.
No, it's Flores, none. And then for me, can I get a motion for item number 16.13? Moved by Mr. Lopez.
Second, Cuevas.
Second by Ms. Cuevas. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passes. Item 16.14, approval of revision to administrative assistant to the superintendent job description. Staff report, and I believe Roxanne had said that.
Okay,
Only
and this
one
one
word
does
change.
include the job description. It doesn't have the old. The only change on this job description is the change where it says of executive assistant to the superintendent. It was previously administrative assistant to the superintendent. The contents all remains the same.
Excellent.
It's the only change.
Board questions or comments from the students?
So this is just a minor change right now.
Minor change in title and then the job description the salary was approved previously. Good question. Thank you.
Jose?
And at this time, thank you.
None, thank you.
Right. Caesar?
The student board member asked my question, so I'm good.
He's off to a good start.
Ms. Flores?
No.
Seeing as there's no questions, can I get a motion to approve item 16.14?
Move, Mr. Lopez.
Moved by Mr. Lopez, second by Ms. Flores. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Motion passes. Seeing. What is that?
We got
I don't know.
vote counter over here.
Yeah. Seeing as we moved item 17 back to closed session, we are going to go ahead and move to item 21, which is 21.1 governance team comments. At this point, my student board members, you are welcome to give comments either tonight's, any information.
For my first board meeting, I want to say that it went really well. The atmosphere was very welcoming, so I want to say thank you. And it was nice to get a taste of how the process works of making a comment or a report or addressing an issue. Again, we do have a rally this Friday, so I'm looking forward to, and a game, so I'm looking forward to reporting back on how those two events go.
As for me, I'll try to support Lexi from the shadows because seeing as she's the ASB president, she's going to be over there. So I'll be in the crowd. So kind of like a shadow. And yeah, reception was well. I thank you all for joining us tonight. And that's it. And another thing though, for the topic of independent study, I have a few peers and a few friends actually who done it and said they've been unmotivated with it. Reason is, and I understand why, is because many people don't see like their friends, or many people haven't been with communication a lot. And so you start to feel isolated, you start to worry. And so you start to kind of lag behind on your work. And at this point, you're like, why do I even have to do it? And so maybe keep in mind that it's just a little bit of like missing friends and communications. But other than that, let's try to figure it out.
Jose?
Welcome to our board. It's your board actually, so that's what I was mentioning to you guys earlier. This is a platform that you guys have to voice not only your opinion, but the opinion of all your peers at the high school. So make sure that you're out there engaged in conversations with them, hearing them out, and then bringing those concerns to us here so that we can make changes here in the policies we adopt to better serve the needs of all our students. So it's an honor, and I'm glad that you guys are on board with us, and welcome.
Yeah, welcome to our new student board members. It's really nice to see new faces every year and, just get that representation. You guys are the ones out there and experiencing, our staff and our leadership. So, I'm looking forward to the meetings that Araceli has been having with you guys. And I know you invited us as board members, we rotate. So I'm looking forward to that, to get it started back up again. So I'm looking forward to just meeting you guys, and maybe you guys, did they rotate? Do you remember? If
You guys are like gonna be the first semester, and then Omar, are you coming second semester? Are we doing it that way?
I
We can do both of
actually
them.
do not know about that because we were kind
Yeah.
of just told to.
We can do both.
Actually, both. You guys are both welcome to
Okay.
be here. We've had it like that in the past.
And then you can sub in if, one of the board meetings, one can attend, the other one.
Yeah, those meetings are really insightful. Also, been attending some of the athletic gatherings. Volleyball's doing really great. We got football going. I'm just excited to see the crowd back up. So hopefully we see you guys out there, especially during our home game. When is it? Our football home game
The 23rd.
next week. So go out there and just support all the other clubs. They're going to be selling food and snacks. So just come by and support the students. And that's it. Caesar?
Yeah, I want to thank our student board members. in fact, you've had so much, you have probably more inputs at this board meeting than a lot of past student board members. So for that, I congratulate you because that's exactly the platform that this is for. Now it is late, as you can see, and you don't have to stay for the remainder of the meeting. I'm not kicking you out, but I'm just saying if you guys are busy, have a big assignment, Picardi wants you to do a 10-hour presentation. Sorry, Mr. Picardi, or something like that. You're not obliged to stay the whole time. So just so you guys know, but we certainly value the time and the comments that you guys give us because we can only know so much, right? And you guys have a direct connection to the kids, right? That's your peers, right? So I really appreciate your input. And some of this stuff is pretty thick, like some of these reports are crazy. And the terms, but what I always tell people, is that when you hear a lot of terms that you don't understand, don't worry about it, right? It's not a big deal. Just let it, something you will understand, right? It'll start seeping in and you start figuring it out. But if you just get caught up and, oh, what's LCFF? Who cares, right? It just doesn't matter. There's other details that you can get, right? And that's how you approach stuff that's super complicated, just go with it, right? Just go with it. Some stuff we don't even understand, right? So that's the little secret. But anyway,
The professional.
yeah, that's why we have staff. That's why we have staff to ask questions, right? So we ask questions. But anyway, so welcome guys, and especially go out there now. Feel empowered to go out in the community, talk to your friends, your colleagues, and not just Gonzalez High kids, right? Fairview kids, LaGloria kids, your brothers, your sisters, cousins, whatever, right? And say, hey, what do you enjoy about school? What can be improved, right? Maybe we don't know about it, right? Maybe we should know about it, so that's the power you guys have, right? It's quite important. And of course, if you have a voice, it makes it even more important. And we can both see you both have a voice, right? And you're not afraid to use it, and that's wonderful. So thank you and welcome. And then on another note, I'm really happy to see all the kids out there, participating. I think I just heard the drums like half an hour ago, right? They're still at it. They're still participating. I love it. FFA is getting going. All the different sports are getting going. And it's like COVID almost never happened, right? Like 2 years ago, who knew what? I forgot, right? Because we're back. We're 100% back. And I love that. So I'm just really excited about this school year. Thank you.
Ms. Flores?
So just to report that, I want to say, I think it was 2 weeks ago, some of us attended the conference for the California Latino School Board Association. And some of the workshops that I attended were ethnic studies and equity and ethnic studies, the 2022 state and federal legislative response, and then strengthening Cafecito to provide resources to our families. So one of the things that I'm really excited about is what ethnic studies is going to look like in the next few years, and how other schools are really implementing their ethnic studies programs, and not just with the students, but also engaging parents. And then what was interesting in the state and federal legislative roundup was that in the world of education, things are always changing when it comes to law and funding. And so one of the things I took from that is just to never get comfortable. Something's gonna change. And then the cafecito and how the schools are doing cafecitos was very interesting to me. I think it's something that we can learn from, and I look forward to meeting with Dr. Zamora so I can have a conversation about some of the things that I've learned. But I also kind of want to piggyback, and Celeste called me on it earlier because she knows I'm always on this topic because of school site councils. And so I think my hope is that we can continue working on really marketing what school site councils are and really empowering parents to attend their school site councils so they understand so when they come here to the board meeting, they're not coming here confused, because school site councils are mini governing boards. And I'd also like to kind of make a recommendation to the student school board members. Although I know you're really busy, I would recommend that you attend at least one school site council on your site, because that really, if you really want to have a say about what happens at your site, your school site council is really the place to do it. 'Cause that's where you talk about budget. And so I recommend at least attending one. And that's it. Thank you.
So I've been a little busy, but some key highlights, I was able to, about 2 weeks ago, I did some walkthroughs with Miss Joni, with Yolanda and Dr. Zamora. So we got to walk the campus, see facilities. I want to make sure I know our school is, the high school is fairly older. I won't say older, but making sure we're maximizing all the space that we have here for our students so that we are optimizing on classes and offerings. And if we need to shuffle things around, so that I had a great time walking through with them, as well as seeing some of the things that were already changing. Got to go into the war room and look in there. It's coming along. It's coming along. So thank you for having me. I also got to attend the ROP meeting last week with Miss Candace, and it was our first one in person. I've been on the committee. This is my second year. But wow, I came back and I told Joni, it's got a long wish list. It was great to see the student presentations there. This is by far has been one of the highlights of being on the board, is being on this committee and seeing the offerings that countywide that is offered. And it's like makes me come back home and be like, I want this for our kids. I want this. I want this. I think I told Candace, like, can we get this? Can we get this? Let's do this. So it was nice to be back in person. And I believe Soledad's hosting it next time. So I can't wait to see the setup there. And with sports back in action, I cannot wait for Friday's game when we play Soledad. So I will be there for the game.
Which side are you sitting on?
What colors? What colors?
We got her.
So I will be very excited. I'm very excited for the game. And just a note for my fellow board members, now that we're back in school and in action, and obviously our board docs are a little bit more lengthy, I did have questions. I want to remind you, hey, if you have questions, reach out. I did have questions this week. My questions were answered thanks to Dr. Zamora and to Joni. So don't forget to reach out to our resources here so we can get those questions answered. Because I did call Joni. I was like, what are the GAN? So I did know before we came. So don't forget, we have that resource and to use that. That's the end of my comments. I did want to welcome the student board members. It has been a pleasure seeing you both grow up. Like I said, I had Lexi as a volleyball player at Fairview. Omar, you had class with Diana. I think you guys were also a top for history class. And so seeing you guys grow in Mr. Gallego's class was a pleasure as well. I still have some pictures from 8th grade too. So I have immensely enjoyed your comments and your observations, and I am so looking forward to have you on this board this year. I cannot wait, and then for your graduation as well. But it has been a pleasure seeing you guys grow up and seeing you take this position. Wow, that's all I can say. Good job. Moving on to item 21.2, future agenda item requests. Do you have student board members, do you have any requests for future agenda items?
By that, do you mean like
if there's something that you want us to address? It may not be in the next board meeting, it'll be in any future agenda meeting.
Yeah, one of the concerns I had was I was updated that the AED pads for the high school were replaced because they were expired. I was wondering if we can, one of the future meetings we can cover if they have been replaced for the Fairview and Gloria as well. Just because as part of Sportsman, we are first aid, AED, and CPR certified. And so I think it's important to have those tools for people who, you know, who can go through a crisis, and in case we need an AED and standby, it's like, it's ready and it's prepared.
Excellent. Definitely. We can bring that on.
Omar, do you have any?
No? Jose?
None, thank you. Caesar?
Yeah, I think it's a good start to the school year. And one thing I know that's been on the back burner for a while now is board policies, right? Going back and making sure that it's exactly the policy we want. And for us, right? A lot of these board policies are from 2000, long time ago, right? So some of these we can update for sure. One specifically I'm thinking about is just conferences. I'm sure we have a board policy on conferences. We should review that. I mean, there's conferences coming up. There's conferences that already happened, and just so that everybody's on the same page. And also, transparency is a big thing. You guys notice I'm jotting down all these numbers, right? I'm trying to, because every dollar is a lot of money. When we talk about it, it's a lot of money. Our budget is almost 3 times bigger than the city of Gonzales. That's how big this budget is, right? We here oversee this budget, right? With the help of staff, but really we see it, we oversee it, right? So it's a very solemn job. And with that, I believe in transparency and where to start. Where better to start than at home? So I think it would be good for us to share the budget that the board has, as an example. Also, the superintendent has a budget, right? It has a discretionary budget. I think that would be good to share it with the public. And the more light that we shed into our finances, the better. And I know sometimes we might be talking about $10 here, $100 there, but if you're not careful about the small details, you're not going to be careful about the big details either. And it just gives a sense of confidence, right, to the folks that we represent. And one of the comments about the American Express bill, and I know it's on the pay warrants, you can only have the codes and such, but maybe when there is kind of a outlier, and this is just a suggestion on pay warrants or something like that, where it's like, whoa, that's a big old number. Like, I don't know, like maybe make it part of the superintendent's report or somehow shed a little bit of light. That way it's just not buried in SACS codes, right? Which you could trace, and they all go back to the LCAP. There's only 4 goals, and they all go back to one of those 4. But those goals are pretty broad, like, improve student outcomes. Well, that one's not that broad. But anyway, what I mean is that every single piece of expenditure that we have go down to 4 goals, right? But even those 4 goals doesn't there could be more information that we can share. And the more information we share, the better, right? Not just to prove that we are good stewards of our money, but that we are setting the example, right? That we're saying, hey, you know what? The books are open. Here it is. Whatever question you got, we have an answer. You may not like the answer, but we have an answer, and we're glad to share that answer with you. Thank you.
Ms. Flores?
Just kind of the same what I asked before. I know that it's not, it's all timely, but a presentation maybe on the COVID protocols, on the current COVID protocols, if you could just kind of have a presentation on what we're currently doing at each site. Because I know it's going to look different than when we had COVID and when we came back.
I would like to include that we have, I think we had said before, invite and rotation LaGloria student council members. That was new that they started last year, and I got to present them, but they never got to make it to a board meeting. But since we're at the new school year, if we can have those student council members from LaGloria, and then we can get the ones from Fairview next, and so on. I would love to have them come and present themselves, and we can meet them as well. And then just food for thought, with the college night that's being held for the high school. I know it's set for the seniors, but I would really love to see it open to everybody. Because I will tell you, my senior right now has been planning for college since like 8th grade. And I think the younger we get our kids in, the better, the more options they have. I think I've had this conversation with Candace. Okay, not just what do you want to do, but what school best fits your future? So the more we expose our kids to college experiences at 9th grade, 8th grade, whatever it may be, that's maybe something we can look into. And since we're early on in the school year, I have hope that we can have more offerings for all of our students. Because to be honest, seniors, that's, we're getting down to the wire where they're going to be applying and it's going to be closed. So if we can look into that for our students. And that's all of my requests. Moving on to item 21.3, future meeting dates. And Marissa has our future meeting dates posted above. We have, oops, where'd it go? I think our next one. Yeah, so we had the 27th, the 11th, the 25th, then November. Just so our board is aware, I am trying to schedule in another special meeting to get our mission statement done, as well as our self eval. So I will let the dust settle for a little bit, and then we really need to get that done.
And I'm sorry to go out of turn, and I'm just looking at the schedule, November 8th. I forget when the election is, but it's around there. And then I'm sorry? It's the 8th, so election go vote is November 8th. And then I believe probably the swearing in of the new board members is December 12th. I want to first congratulate Miss Maria Cuevas for being elected because she ran unopposed. So we changed to by district elections. The way that works is that you run and nobody else runs, you win. So our first winner, Maria Cuevas, is here. Thank you. Now, the reason I bring that up is, of course, to congratulate her, but also, since we're talking about board policy, we need a board policy that says how are we going to elect a board member who where nobody ran.
So
Nobody
we are
ran in our
currently-
district.
We are currently working
Yeah.
with legal, so that will be in a coming up board meeting to schedule for the District 3 vacancy.
Good, yeah, because I'm sure we have to work on that sooner than later, since because we have to appoint somebody, but you can't just appoint anybody, right? You have to appoint somebody who wants to do the job.
Correct.
Right? So it's more than that. And so it's a whole process, and we need to clamp down that process and all those details with it, and the sooner the better. Thank you.
And seeing as that is done with item 21, item 22, can I get a motion to adjourn? Moved by Ms. Flores. Second. Second by Ms. Cuevas. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for everybody who stayed. Eric, you're a rock star.